Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of Andrew Discusses, where today I actually want to take a break from discussing something in the world and actually discuss something that I thought up. Yeah, I know, it's weird, but bear with me here for a moment. This is kind of interesting to me, and look, I talked about a lot of stuff. You put up with it. Just deal with me. Put on do something in the background while I'm talking, or, zone out and just listen for the ending. I don't care. Well, okay, I do care, but, don't just ignore me entirely. This is actually a pretty cool idea and a pretty cool video that I have planned today. So, as many of you know, I am a fan of Tokusatsu shows. Now, for those of you that don't know what Tokusatsu is, it's a special form of special effects. It's filming with special effects, basically. It's what a lot of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Gridman, and all those kind of are. So, I have been thinking of some cool ideas for stories that could work for their own standalone Tokusatsu series. I'm dead serious. Look, this is a great style and a great genre of stuff. And it's not even specifically allocated to Japan. There was a few of them that were made outside of Japan that have a similar filming style, and they are actually quite good. This is a unique style, and I like it. I came up with a few ideas for possible series, and I'd like to run them by you, the lovely listeners out there of my discussion video. All 25 of you. Yes, I've been keeping track of the views lately. They've been depressing me. But I am not here to complain about that. I could do an entire rant video, but I'm not going to do that either. No. Today I want to talk about unique ideas that I had for this, I want to say, greatness that has come out of my head. So, without any further ado, I present to you the three ideas that I have had for a Tokusatsu series. Oh, and by the way, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me how much you like them. Tell me how much you hate them. Tell me if I suck. Okay, don't tell me if I suck. I already have self-esteem issues. But, just... screw it. Let's just start the video, shall we? Okay, so the first series that I want to talk about that I thought up is sort of a Kamen Rider-esque series. And I like this one, and I like this idea because this could also run the possibility of branching into some of the other actual Tokusatsu series as like a special guest sort of collaboration, if you will. And this one's called Driver Force. I know what a lot of you out there are thinking. What in the hell is he talking about? Well, here's the premise for it, and bear with me, it's actually pretty cool. So, in Driver Force, the universe is in peril. This great megalomaniac by the name of Eon is searching for the drivers, these mystical items that were sent away from the planet that they were created on to be protected. They have scattered across the universe, but have somehow managed to find their way to planet Earth, where, after traveling the universe, are one hero to start off with by the name of Jake, and his partner driver, Guy, end up coming down to the planet Earth. Here, well, technically it's Jake's home to begin with, but here they end up finding out that all the drivers that have been scattered have somehow managed to come to Earth. And Eon is also coming to Earth. He wants the drivers, he wants them bad. So bad, in fact, that he's already dispatched some of his own driver-esque soldiers to take back the drivers at all costs. In other words, destroy cities, wreck the place, basically leave no stone unturned and no body moving if you have to. And what's interesting about this series, in my mind, is the fact that this is what can allow possible crossovers with other Tokusatsu shows like Ultraman and Gridman in a way, is that the drivers are basically a small robotic form, and they take on one form, and that's driver form. And that basically becomes a wrist-like gauntlet that the user can put onto their wrist, and then by shouting the activation phrase, they can transform into whatever the driver is basically the power of. And each transformation phrase and each character is different. So in the series, there would be a total of 4 unique drivers that would be wielded by the main cast. You have Gi and G, who are basically the main ones, the ones that start off the series. They create Giga Rider. Giga Rider is basically what you would imagine a Kamen Rider to be like, but it's really interesting. Think like Kamen Rider Den-O blank form, and add a little bit of chest armor and something on the head. That's pretty much Giga Rider, and it's actually pretty cool. Giga Rider can gain other powers from some of the other drivers that they find, and in the series would eventually gain a golden armor mode that can be activated by shouting the command phrase "Golden Armor Energize," which would create a golden armor like, armor around him, pretty much akin to the gold mode from Gokaiger, from Gokai Silver. So that's an idea. There's also a beast armor mode that's called Lion mode. And this one's actually pretty cool. It's basically a lion's head that gets put onto the chest. The front paws become shoulder pads. The bottom paws become like gripping feet. And the whole armor is basically clad in this yellowish orange type of color that's really, really impressive. Again, it's just an idea for the one. Some of the other characters, you have Maya and Vol. Vol is the wolf driver. She is dependent upon staying alive. She does not want to return to Eon. She knows what will happen should Eon get control of all the drivers, and refuses to even take part in this. Is doing her damnedest to hide, and Maya, who's actually the person that Jake runs into within 2 episodes, ends up becoming her partner, and together they form Wolf Warrior. Wolf Warrior is basically a very fast, very powerful character, utilizing 2 different armor changes as well down the road. You have Lunar Armor, which is basically it's sort of like the moon. Basically, it's like a moon-like armor. It creates a very bright effect, and it gives it like a shonen ronin type of armor look. It's pretty cool, like a samurai-ish type look. There's also another armor, but I haven't completely come up with a name for it yet. It'd basically be sort of like I want to say more combative stance or a defensive stance, but I haven't come up with a great idea for the name yet, so I haven't thrown that one in. The next character is Rex and his partner Tira. Tira is a T-Rex that communicates solely by roaring or growling, depending on what happens. Yes, I do apologize for that. And Rex is basically your headstrong, I'm completely invincible, nobody can beat me type of character. And the 2 of them form Dino Striker. Dino Striker is one of the characters that I would really enjoy creating this. And that's because of the uniqueness that it has. So with Dino Striker, this again, 2 different armor changes as well, but all of them are basically like a blank slate, with like a small piece of armor on them to begin with. But Dino Strikers is really cool. So it can gain Inferno mode or magma mode, I want to call it. And what that basically is a fire type armor. It's an element. So it gains the ability to have fire rolled around it, and it becomes Dino Striker Magma mode, which is pretty cool. It's basically like flame cuffs. You have flame cuffs, flame cuffs around the ankles, flame cuffs around the wrists that can pretty much blow out and create a massive fireball if need be for offensive and defensive abilities. You have the dual flame axe, which I think is really cool by taking the 2 shoulder pieces that separate, attach onto the pole that would basically be the tail of Tira, and basically can become a dual-sided axe, which is pretty badass. The other mode is another one that I haven't thought of an entire name for yet, and I know I'm still thinking of the names for a lot of the modes. I haven't come up with them all completely yet, but I'm working on it. But this one would basically be a full-on offensive. I mean, 100% more power, more strength, more speed, but the problem is it has a time limit. I haven't been able to figure out what to call it yet, but it'll only last for approximately 90 seconds. That's it. And what happens is, after the 90 seconds is up, the armor just completely shuts off. It changes back into Dino Striker, which would be a pretty unique way, because it would take the character that is gung-ho from the start and actually force them to think about how to use a power that they only have a short access to strategically, which is a really cool growing opportunity for the character to have. So there is that. The fourth armor user is is Ray, and his armor Z, or his driver Z. Z and Ray create the Zero armor. Zero is originally a villain that battles the three over and over and over again until finally realizing that they are actually on the same side when Jake and Guy take a blast that was meant for him, and he basically realizes that they aren't fighting him to defeat him, they're fighting him to prove that he can help them, and he decides to instantly change his ways over time. But that was pretty much the deciding factor for him wanting to change to the side of good. So Zero's power is basically nothing. It has two different armor modes. There's Vega armor, which is really cool. Vega armor is basically a small little assault pack that comes up and basically creates an outer armored shell. It can go fists, feet, something on the chest plate, and something on the head, and that's Vega armor. It doesn't add much in the way of strength, but it's more for defense than it is strength and speed. It's more for endurance. The other armor is the darkness armor. This is basically the armor that Zero had when Guy and Jake took the attack for him. And what it basically is it's the shadows. It is pure darkness, pure negative energy. And it just basically invokes Zero in this sort of like aura cloak in a way. And Zero just becomes a complete badass for as long as the armor is wearing. However, the more you use the armor, the more you might be tempted to go back to the dark side. And that's one of the reasons why Eon doesn't mind Zero going and helping the others, realizing that with the darkness armor, he will eventually return back to him. All he has to do is just bide his time and wait. As for some of the other characters, besides Eon, I do have some others. There's going to be a driver of time. And this is a driver that Eon will seek out tremendously, because Eon wants this driver more than anything. After he realizes that that was one of the drivers that landed on Earth, he wants it. He wants it bad. Nothing's going to stop him from finding it, because if he can find that one, he will actually completely rule everything, because the time driver literally can just turn back time and erase certain things from happening, and his entire goal is to find this one near the end of the series and completely rewrite history after he realizes that the time driver is one of the drivers on Earth. He feared it was destroyed, but it wasn't destroyed. However, Jake, Mia, Rex, and Ray are going to destroy it. They have no choice. They don't want it to fall into the hands of Eon, but at the same time, if they try to use it themselves, they would be stuck in a permanent loop over and over and over again, and they don't want that. So that's the one thing. Eon is basically a megalomaniac. I mean, we're talking full-on crazy psychopath. Think the main villain from Tokusatsu, but not as dim-witted, I want to say. Yeah. So, what it basically boils down to is Eon controls a person that really has just had a miserable day and offers them power. Basically, going, I can give you whatever your heart desires, but you need to help me. I need a body. I need a living being to bond myself to. How would you like to help me? And in exchange, I will help you get revenge on all those who harmed you. And that's what drives the individual to bond with Eon. And Eon basically uses this power to flat out want to destroy the world. I mean, he is like badass powerful. I do have plans for another character by the name of Zeta, but I don't know what I want Zeta to be yet. So there is that. Some of the other armors do have small character roles, like the lion armor is basically a lion driver. There's going to be like a bird type of armor, so basically a bird driver in a way. The gold driver, which forms the golden armor for Giga Rider, is actually a warrior from the past that has been living on Earth protecting the drivers, and after realizing that they can't fight anymore, they decide to bequeath their power onto Jake and Guy, which allows them to unlock the golden armor. However, in the process, they realize that they're going to die because the power of the golden driver was the only thing keeping them alive for all these, millennia. So they have no choice. They have to give it up. And that's sort of the idea. But that's Driver Force, so let me know what you think about that, and we can move on to the next one. Okay, so the second one I want to talk about is Galaxy Defenders. This would basically be sort of your runoff of a Super Sentai series. And I know somebody out there, when they hear what the plot of this is going to think, oh, you're literally ripping off 2 Sentai. However, I'm really not. I'm using them as inspiration, but there's major differences, and I'll explain. So, the point of Galaxy Defenders, I guess you want to call them Cog Empire, in a way. It's literally a bunch of scrap machines. These things have seen better days, but they're advanced technology. So they look like they're old, rusty, ready to fall apart, but in actuality, they're more high-tech and advanced than you could ever imagine. They just don't look it. They want to conquer the entire universe, and they originally set out to do this eons ago, and I mean eons ago. They had conquered about half of the universe before their illustrious leader, Emperor Cog, was destroyed by the original Galaxy Defenders. A small group of 5 individuals that stood against the forces of evil. However, in the process, they had to sacrifice themselves to defeat him because they had no power, no way to stop Emperor Cog from completely decimating everything. Now, eons later, Cog's been rebuilt. The Cog Empire is now 100% back up and running, and has basically taken over 95% of the entire galaxy. Everything is bowing to the Cog Empire and to Emperor Cog and his, minion of ass-kissing yes-bots, basically. So you have, for the villains, you'll have Emperor Cog. Basically, think King Mondo from Power Rangers, which would be Emperor Baranoia from O-Ranger. But with gears, more like, instead of like the tall, bulky, wobbly, little messed up Weeble Wobble that he was, imagine it as like this bulky, or this like lean, thing. But like I said, looks scrappy, but is pretty advanced. Like rusted gears on the wrists, like a crown that's really rusted and seems to like break. Like one half's leaning down pretty bad, the other half's pointing straight up like it's still perfectly new. One leg's a different shape than the other, but they're both the same length. Same for the arms. The torso's like this really hobbled together 2-part technology, but still holds together, but looks like it's about to fall apart. And all of this is powered by an advanced system that's inside this rickety metal body. So you have like I just said, Emperor Cog. Then you have his loyal minions. You have Screw. Screw is one of my favorite ideas for the character in this, and that is because Screw is basically this doddling idiot. Everything Screw touches breaks. Screw's put in charge of rebuilding, I guess you want to call it the dimensional or the gateway to access, their space bridge in a way. And he ends up destroying it in the process, which is what strands them stuck on the planet Earth, where they're decided, you know what, this is where we will start the final phase of the invasion. We have to take over the entire galaxy anyway. It's time we end it right here, right now. And they decide this is where they're going to do it, since they can't send out for their troops, and it's going to take a while for the bridge to be repaired. So they're stuck with whatever troops that they have, which is a good chunk of the Empire, basically. So you have Nut and Bolt. These are two... They're really competent fighters. They have been the leaders of the massive invasion force for centuries, basically. And they go around, they destroy planets, take planets, conquer planets, you name it, they do it. Nothing has stood in their way since. And personally, I like the last character, Washer. Washer is a joke. Extremely powerful, has the ability to repair any of the Empire's minions, and can even inject them with a special oil that will allow them to grow to massive size if need be. And that's all Washer does. However, Washer barely fights and is terrified to death of fighting, and constantly will hide behind a rock if even senses danger, which is sort of funny in a way. And that's at least the main group of the villains that I have so far. As for the heroes, you have good old the Galaxy Defenders. So basically, I don't really have names for all of them yet, sadly, because I did have names for them, but then I wanted to use the names for something else, and I had to change it up because it would get confusing if I would ever cross any of these over with each other, so there is that. But basically, you have Galaxy Red, Galaxy Blue, Galaxy... Wait, hold on. Actually, I have it written down. Give me a second here. Let me fish out my book, which is buried all the way in the back of my bag. Okay, now I got my book. Now to remove the seal from my book, which is just some crappy rubber bands, which I probably should replace. Remove the final rubber band. Okay. And right here on my first page is my Galaxy Defenders notes. I love this. So let's see here. I don't have the colors here. Where the hell? Oh, yeah, okay. Red, blue, green, yellow, and pink. So basically you have Galaxy Red, Galaxy Blue, Galaxy Green, Galaxy Yellow, and Galaxy Pink. There's also gold and silver, which will come in later on. Gold is basically a stronger version of what Red hoped to be, and silver is, well, I'll explain what silver is later, but silver is silver. So they utilize the Defenderizers, which is basically, think the digitizers from Mega Ranger, or the Astromorpher from In Space, and it's something like that. So they have the Defenderizers that they use to transform with the command phrase Galaxy Defense, and that's how they transform. They do have a main set of weapons. Each one has a Defender Blade. Like, it's a small little, or Defender Saber, I should say. It's a small little blade that they have on them, sort of like the Mega Blasters from Power Rangers, in a way, and from Ranger. But you also have the Defender Blade, the Defender Lance, the Defender Spear, the Defender Daggers, Defender Sword, and Defender Shield. There's also the Defender Bow as well. Okay, the default weapon was also the Defender Blaster. So, yeah, it's basically two. It's the Defender Blaster and the Defender Saber. So that's two of them. But it's one weapon. Like, again, like I said, kind of in tune with what the original, with what the OG Power Rangers and that had. So, they actually do have some cool Zords for when Emperor Cog makes the monster grow. They have what I like to call the Galaxy Runners. And the Galaxy Runners are basically small ships. Well, 4 small ships and 1 big ship. The big ship is piloted by Galaxy Blue. Galaxy Red has... Oh, no, Galaxy Red has the center ship, that's right. Galaxy Blue and Green have the legs, and Pink and Yellow have the arm ones. And they can actually swap out. So, like, Blue and Green can become the arms, and Pink and Yellow can become the legs, and vice versa. So they're pretty much interchangeable except for the center body. They create the Galaxy Guardian. I think that's what it was, right? Yes, Galaxy Guardian. Okay. So, the Galaxy Guardian is basically when the 5 Galaxy Runners come together. And this thing is pretty cool. To give you kind of an idea picture-wise, in a way, think the Time Force Megazord mixed with the Super Zeo Megazord. Something like that. And you kind of get an idea. In a way, somewhat. So that's the general idea for that. There's also a sentient bot that they end up finding the key for, and it's called the Mega Defender. The Mega Defender is sort of like the Red Battlezord from O-Ranger, but it talks. It can interact with the others, and it can't shrink down to the size of the Defenders, but it can stay massive if need be and just live in its key until it's called. So, the Mega Defender can actually form with the Galaxy Guardian, and the Galaxy Runners sort of become armor that the Mega Defender wears, and once they combine together, they become the Supreme Galaxy Guardian. And the Supreme Galaxy Guardian is basically like the Shogun Megazord, but bulked out with space tech. And I mean, we're talking like massive amounts of space tech here. Sweet, sweet space tech. And honestly, it's really cool just to picture it, but that's basically what it is. So, what they do is they have to stop, well, Emperor Cog from destroying the world, and unbeknownst to them, the entire universe, until they're like halfway through when they realize that the bridge sort of opened, and all of a sudden, I guess you want to call it the helper that was there, the Red Defender goes, "This was what I was trying to tell you was going to happen. This is what Emperor Cog wants. The complete and total destruction of your planet and the entire universe. The entire galaxy is at stake here." And they see this massive, at the end of the first half, they see this massive force, the reinforcements, just coming through the space bridge. And Cog's just laughing maniacally like, "Yes, I finally did it. I finally managed to figure out a way to rebuild the space bridge." And you have poor Screw over there that's basically like, "I'm the one that fixed it." But the entire invasion of Earth then begins. And the second half is when we get Galaxy Gold and Galaxy Silver. Originally, what they're going to be is 2 characters that have been fighting Emperor Cog's minions for a while, sort of in a resistance type of deal. However, once they arrive on Earth and meet up with the other Defenders, they realize that they really are outnumbered. And the problem is that because they've been fighting for so long, they've actually become exhausted from the battles. They haven't ever been able to fully relax enough to recharge, and they're constantly on borrowed time. And what ends up happening is that they end up sacrificing themselves after being captured when they find out that Cog's decided to, why bother taking over the Earth by force? I'm just going to teleport them all to a slave colony somewhere, or a place where they're just going to be mining, ore in that to build my machines. And basically, they get captured along with most of the Earthlings, and they find a whole mess of creatures from other planets, ones that they had thought they had protected, that had fallen to the Emperor's hand, basically. And they decide that they're going to make one last stand, and after getting through to the others, telling them where they are, figuring it out, basically, and then telling them where they are, the others are coming for a rescue mission, and they decide to make one last stand, just in the nick of time for everybody there to be, gotten out safely. but at the same time, they don't make it out themselves. They sacrifice themselves to save everybody, leaving the final two powers completely dormant. However, because they're needed now, since Cogs decided to upgrade his entire legion with more advanced technology that they've magically created by, doing stuff in the other parts of the galaxy they've been screwing with, he's now too strong for the five to handle alone. And literally, their first battle with his upgraded form ends in a curb stomping, and even Supreme Galaxy Guardian is unable to scratch him. He literally just, how it'll go is, they'll swing down the Galaxy Sword to kind of like stop him, and he'll literally stop it with his hand, pick up the whole mech that is Supreme Galaxy Guardian, and just chuck it right against the mountainside like it's nothing but a rag doll. And they realize that they're way too weak to handle this. The runners are damaged. Mega Defender's been injured too badly and has to recharge and rest in his ki, so they have to try to find a new source of power and new, basically, mechs to help battle. And they end up tracking down what is essentially the last line from the Mystics, the original Galaxy Guardians, basically. That will allow them to basically unlock the Galaxy Shoguns. The final attempt, just in case all hell broke loose. However, in order to get them, you need to have 5 powers needed. Unfortunately, when they decide to set off and do this, Cog decides to launch another invasion of the Earth. This time, a no-holds barge. They realize they can't be in 2 places at once, and they end up giving 2 of the powers to basically 2 of the people that had helped them out during the entire ordeal. They helped evacuate people when they were on the slave planet mining stuff, and they were helping in general. One of them even bravely took on one of Cog's goons and almost was destroyed until the others showed up. They told them, look, here's the deal. You 2 are going to inherit the power of, I want to make it red and yellow. So they give up their powers to these 2, and the former Galaxy Red and Galaxy Yellow take on the mantle of Gold and Silver, so that they can access the powers that they still have and try to defend the Earth while the others go off for the Galaxy Shoguns. And that's kind of where I had it go at. That's what I'm up to so far in my head. Believe it or not, Gold and Silver do have mechs of their own. So Gold gets Solar Rex. Solar Rex is a dinosaur that literally lives in the sun. It has been there since the dawn of time. Originally, it was just a living creature, but because the original Defenders realized that they may need its power someday, gave it basically a mech suit to wear that allows it to amplify its power tremendously. They helped it in exchange for it offering to help them. It was a partnership in a way. And Silver has the Lunar Dragon, the literal polar opposite. The 2 can actually combine together, since Solar Rex can change into a warrior mode, and so can Lunar Dragon. Lunar Dragon can change also into a regular lance as well. If Lunar Dragon and Solar Rex do combine while Solar Rex is in warrior mode, they create Solar Rex Twilight mode. And Twilight mode is basically like an Eclipse. I might just change it to Eclipse mode, but I kind of like Twilight mode a little better. And what it basically is it has the ability of both Solar Rex and Lunar Dragon at the same time, but it draws a large amount of power. And they have never been able to figure out, up to this point, how to regulate the power, so it's not something that they like using unless absolutely necessary or just for the final blow. That's all they use it for. But that's pretty much what I have for Galaxy Defenders. It's not finished yet in any way, shape, or form, especially in my head, but that's what I have so far. So there is that, and now, finally, the last and final one that I think of for the Tokusatsu ideas that I've had. Alright, so the final one that I have is called Maximum. or Maximum Night, or well, Maximum Night basically. So this one is pretty much your Ultraman like Tokusatsu series, like Ultraman and Gridman. So our hapless hero finds the relic of what you would consider a piece of junk statue that actually turns out to be an ancient protector. That protector tells her that you are in charge of keeping this world safe. And yes, the lead in this is female. It's a first, I know. So what's interesting about this is that after she finds it, the relic begins giving her visions as to what the future is going to be. It keeps foretelling of this great impending disaster, this creature that will come and destroy the entire world, but she just keeps patting it off like it's some type of a weird fantasy dream. Until finally the creature shows up, just out of nowhere, shows up and begins ransacking most of the countryside. Now she realizes that, okay, the dream was real. This thing actually exists. Now what do I do? And all of a sudden, the relic starts glowing and begins telling her telepathically, call out my name, summon me, and I will assist you. We need to work together. Not realizing that, she's basically realizing, crap, this thing's talking to me and I'm going crazy. But in actuality, it's the being protector called Maximum. Maximum is the defender, the protector. Came to the Earth years ago, long before humans ever existed, in order to stop a creature that decided it was going to go there because it liked the feeling of the planet. However, Maximum ended up getting sealed inside of a volcano. Got excavated years later by the eruption of said volcano, and then was found by a bunch of ancient tribes people after they effectively went digging to expand their village. They came across it thinking that it was something from the gods, and they decided, no, we need to worship this. We need to bring it back to our village, and they did. However, the village is long gone. No descendants or anything left anymore, so they have nothing left. So now all of a sudden, that's why the statue was just in the woods. The first battle basically goes like this. Maximum allows the heroine to transform, and she manages to fight back the creature, but now she definitely has no idea what to do because the creature just sort of like splits off into a bunch of little orbs that go scattering everywhere, and she's freaking out because they're scattering like crazy and doesn't know what to do. However, Maximum kind of calms her down, talks her through the final attack, which is basically a massively powerful karate chop beam that slices the monster in two, and she thinks, okay, cool, it's over. Yes, we won. Only for Maximum to finally start talking and going, oh, good, now I can finally speak. No, we're nowhere near done. Those orbs that spit off from it are actually its descendants. It's basically left its legacy on this planet. We have to protect it. We have to defend it from all of those creatures. And this freaks her the hell out. Over time, she's going to get more used to the idea, but at the same time, doesn't like the idea of having to fight. So, with this one, though, what makes it pretty cool and unique is Ultraman instantly went giant-sized. Gridman instantly went giant-sized. With Maximum starts off in minimum mode. So basically, right after the heroine shouts out the transformation phrase, Maximum becomes minimum. So basically, she starts off in minimum mode, which is basically the same size that she is, but has all the same powers. Unfortunately, when the monster grows or absorbs too much energy or just blows its top and something, I don't know what the gimmick's going to be yet, then all of a sudden she has to shout out the phrase, it's time to maximize. And that's what creates Maximum, by basically placing both of her fists towards the jewel located in the center of her chest, and then doing this phrase as it goes up and the hand signs with it, she becomes maximum mode. And maximum mode is 100% badass. Just basically Ultraman with a hell of a lot of power. Like Ultraman and Gridman combined. The only downside is that maximum mode has two other alternate modes that require an upgrade. The upgrade was in the form of a small little stone that was left inside where she found the original statue. That is now destroyed, courtesy of the first battle. The monster crushed it. So now she has to try to figure out where they could have gotten to and has to find them. So the two other modes are maximum strength and maximum speed. Maximum speed basically just gives it a speed boost. And maximum strength is just a massive power boost. There's nothing separating them other than a color change. One will be bright yellow or gold, and the other one will be like a silverish type of red. Something like that. Like a red and silver, and the other one's like a blue and gold. And the original one is just a grayish, like a gray-yellow something coloring. I don't know what the color is going to be just yet. Then again, keep in mind I'm colorblind, so there's that. However, now she realizes that this is real. She has to try to save the world, and eventually will take on the final creature, only to realize that the final creature is every single one of them that she's already defeated. They basically left a mark, a small little circle on the planet, and the final creature is just going to absorb all those marks and become massively powerful at the same time. And that's sort of what the idea is for the final battle. It's like every single one of those moments is just like this massive combining thing where every past battle is now coming back. So like every single one of the creatures that she defeated, every single one that gave her a hard time and almost broke her, is going to just completely take her out. Similar to what Ultraman and Gridman had, Maximum has a power limit. And once the limit's reached, the jewel on the chest begins blinking. Once it reaches 0, Maximum is done. He can't transform anymore. And she returns to normal. So basically it separates from her and she returns to normal, but Maximum becomes sort of like a relic statue again. It can't do anything until he completely recharges, which could possibly take 1 to 100,000 years, depending on how much power has been used. This will happen basically in the final battle, but a miracle will also happen that will recharge, and that'll be how it'll end. I don't want to give too much away, because keep in mind, it's mostly, I mean, you know how it's going to end with a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's kind of simple to figure out how it's going to end, but it's the journey to get there that's more interesting. But, yeah, I know this one's short, but I don't have much to go on with it right now. But, that's Maximum. I mean, the name even sucks a bit, but I can fix it. But, yeah, so I don't even have a name for the creatures yet to call. But either way, Maximum is sort of like the Ultraman Gridman of my Tokusatsu ideas. So there was, that's the last one that I have. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments section below. Let's get a good discussion going. Do you like Driver Force? Do you like Galaxy Defenders? Maximum? I'm actually have to change that, because I think there might be something called Maximum. Well, I'll figure it out. I might just add something to like Maximum Night or Maximum, Maximum something or other. Maximum Defender? No. Maximum Star? No. I don't know, I'll figure something out. But either way, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Let's get a good discussion going. Any ideas that could possibly make it better? Anything that might seem a little out of the ordinary? Or am I just completely nuts? And this is a waste of time, effort, and basically a waste of like a good half an hour-ish of your life. Maybe an hour. I don't know exactly how long this is. But let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, I'm Andrew Rhodes, and this has been Andrew Discusses.